We are part of a change in Chicago. Mayor Daley has had a vision of Chicago being the greenest city in America. And sometimes, if you listen to him, in the world, why not? Wind power is the fastest growing energy source in the world. Chicago is the home to the North American headquarters of 5 major wind power companies, some of which Michael Polsky and Venergy you'll hear from today. Consumers are saying, we want products, we want to buy products from people and businesses that are cleaner and greener. And many of you in the room make your livings through businesses that are moving with this fastest growing part of the American economy. At the Environmental Law and Policy Center, we've been saying for a long time, it's a false trade-off, it's a myth. The old one about you can either have jobs or environmental progress. You can either have economic growth or you can have environmental progress. We believe, and all of you believe, we can have environmental progress and economic development together. We're going to talk today about some of the ways that's happening, but more fundamentally, how do we position Chicago to be the center, the green business, clean technology center of our country and hopefully of the world?
If we really are going to be a clean, green tech hub, we need the kind of environment here that will support the growth of those types of businesses and the attraction of those types of businesses here. So the work that we're doing to make Chicago a green city and to change our image around the world is a really, really important part of that. It's trees, it's medians, it's green roofs, it's parks, it's access to lakefront, it's good air, it's good water, it's all the things that the mayor is getting all these awards for right now. That creates the kind of environment here that will support these types of initiatives. As that momentum grows, locally and nationally, we really want to make sure from the city perspective that Chicago businesses and Chicago residents benefit from this shift. In my opinion, this is not just about attracting the best, the brightest, the most exciting green tech companies from around the world and getting them to Chicago. This is about creating a climate here that supports entrepreneurs, that supports folks that have good ideas coming out of school and helps them to grow, to start their businesses here and to keep them here in Chicago. And it's about using green technology, many of the ideas we're going to be talking about today, to help Chicago businesses thrive.
So we start sort of getting wind sites and wind project and going around trying to market this to sell electricity. We found it was very, very difficult. Why? Because there are a lot, first of all, there are a lot of myths existed around renewable energy. It's too expensive, it's too difficult, its wind is not always blowing. There were always these obstacles, primarily created by the existing industry, which is utility industry, to justify sort of not to buy it. And despite the fact there was some ironic here around the country, you could generate wind at half price of what sort of cost from existing plant, but you still couldn't buy because there were no regulations, there were no requirements in many cases that renewable energy, could be bought or sold to someone. So I quickly realized that renewable energy is not about economics. It's not about marketplace, although a lot of people said, oh, let market to dictate. It's not about it. It would never happen here. This conference would never happen. My company would never happen if we would not have the right policies, okay? Renewable energy, and I've been an entrepreneur all my life, and I always rely on the free market, still am, but it's all about policy. Renewable energy, and it's all about policy. Sadhu said about city initiatives. City just takes the lead to set policies. It's not somebody come and does all this stuff because it's looking good or whatnot. It's because of the policy. And if we have right policy, the business jumps in and executes on the policy, or marketplace does it. So it's all about policy. The reason we have wind in Illinois, as Howard said, 6,000 megawatts, because at some point we set at least initial policy in the state, which called renewable portfolio standard. What that means, that certain amount of electricity sold on a retail basis in the state of Illinois has to come from renewables. Otherwise, it would not happen. Even if renewable would be at half price, it would not happen. Because utilities or power aggregator would never buy it because there is nothing, as they said, for them. Why would utility buy renewable and resell to consumer? They just don't do it because it's good, it sounds good, or it's clean energy. No, nobody does it. It has to be a policy, okay?
We have a whole generation of governors out there, including Illinois, Michigan, a whole bunch of governors, that will have no significant positive benefit programs to lay claim to for their legacy. They've had 8 years, 10 years, some have had 12 years of nothing but deficits and fixing gaps. That's not meant to depress you at all, but rather to say, this room of people offers something to them. They just don't know it yet, and they haven't figured out how to do it yet. Because you can help them create a legacy without a huge amount of financial risk relative to what they've got going on. And we were just working with the state of Ohio, who was threatened with a rating downgrade at their state level, and we took them and dissected their entire financial picture and took them to the rating agencies and showed them how the whole clean, green, new environmental world and new economy that they're heading into was actually the underlying foundation of their whole economy. They've done a phenomenal job at transforming their economy, much more so than most of the other states. It's not just an auto-based economy anymore.
So the company that I founded with my colleague 7 or 8 years ago, basically, most of you have laptops. If you travel, you'll put in your lap, you'll feel a little bit of heat. What we do is we take the heat. And imagine if you put those batteries in cars, electric cars, and everybody's wondering right now what batteries to use, and everybody decided lithium-ion. Now how are you going to deal with safety and fire and explosion? So the concept itself was simple. Same thing as the ice used in your in the tea or the glass of water in your cup. The ice melts but keep the water cool. We use phase change material to cool those batteries. We were very successful in getting Army contracts, follow-up. We are also very lucky to get, we were the recipients of 2 rounds of investment from Chicago iTech, which you heard today about Illinois Ventures. I used to complain a lot about being Chicago, venture and no money, but to be honest with you, I wouldn't trade for any better place. We had tremendous opportunity to work with the city, Sadhu mentioned this morning. And that company, we had Angel Investor Group who took a big risk on us. We raised over $2 million, and now we're actually debating whether should we go for VC, regular, or just leap and go to direct to commercial, because we're already in the market right now.
Let me give you the elevator speech about recycling energy. 42% of U.S. carbon dioxide comes from the generation of electricity. That's up from 11% in 1950. Another 27% comes from the generation of thermal energy. So that's almost 70% of our CO2 comes from making heat and power. We have to improve that efficiency. The efficiency of the power that reaches this light bulb, on average, is 33%, and it reached that level when Ike was in the White House and hasn't improved in 50 years. Thermal energy production is equally stagnant. The problem is that central generation with fossil fuel just can't get any better. They've approached their efficiency levels. There's inevitable byproduct heat, but you can't transmit it very far economically. So if you're going to build a big power plant far away, you're going to throw the heat away. On the other hand, the industrial factories use energy once to make goods or services and then throw a stream of heat away after that, and there's just no mechanisms to try and cause that to happen. Our conventional system, we burn 3 units of fuel to make 1 unit of electricity, throw the heat away, and then go up the road and burn more fuel to make the heat that was just thrown away to run an industrial factory. With a paradigm shift to local generation, U.S. could power 65,000 megawatts from industrial waste heat, build another 135,000 megawatts of combined heat and power. Altogether, that would cut U.S. CO2 output by about 20% and probably save a couple $100 billion a year.